Hi there, good morning. You've tuned into ET Now, and this is Buy Now, Sell Now with me, Cheryl D'Souza. I'll have Shishi Sharma join us in a short while from now. But let's take a look at what the markets are doing at this point in time. If you look at the market subdued trading session coming in for the benchmark indices, and GIFT Nifty actually indicated that we were in for a very soft start, and that's how it's transpired. You have the Nifty that is in the negative territory, but still holding above that 19,350 mark. Let's take a look at what Nifty Bank is doing at this point in time, because Nifty Bank is moving, actually seeing a tad bit underperformance when it comes to in relation with the benchmark indices. But key to note that even the Nifty Bank is seeing a recovery from the day's lowest point. Let's take a look actually what the broader markets are doing at this point in time, both the mid cap and the small cap index, and are they moving in tandem? No, there you go, charting their own course in the positive territory. That is a mid cap index as well as small cap index near the day's highest point, both the counters and also in the positive territory. Let's take a look at what the sectoral indices are doing. That among the top sectoral gainer today is definitely the pharma index. Take a look at pharma index, and pharma index, let's actually single out stocks. Then you have Gland Pharma that's reacting to its numbers. It's seen a good bounce back actually in today's trading session. Take a look at what Divi's Laboratories is doing. Remember, it came out with its numbers yesterday during the market hours, and the stock actually saw a recovery from the day's lowest point yesterday as well. Today as well, the stock is seeing some sort of a recovery. Take a look at what Cipla is doing at this point in time. ET Now actually broke a story a short while ago. The sources have told ET Now that the trading window for the employees have reopened from today onwards. Why is this significant? Because the trading window was shut from the month of August, and the fact that the trading window has been open for the employees, it could indicate that for now the stake sale could be on a back burner. And remember, from October 9th onwards itself, we've been reporting that the deal, the stake sale could be actually delayed over valuation concerns. So that is Cipla for you. That is actually seeing an uptick of as much as 0.5% as we speak. Talking about the other sectoral indices, then Realty Index, that's the one that is actually seeing a tad bit of decline. 9-10% downtick coming for Realty Index. In fact, it is the top sectoral loser as we speak. So that's the way how the markets are looking like. Pretty subdued in today's trading session, but nevertheless, let's not forget the smart recovery that the broader markets and the benchmarks have actually posted over the last couple of trading sessions. But remember, this buy now, sell now, and it is Diwali special the whole week for you all, because we will have our experts give you their top recommendations, and not just any ordinary top recommendations. They are going to actually divide them into three different categories. One is safe sparklers, one is value bomb, and also the other one is high risk rockets. And to tell us about their top recommendations today, we have Kunal Bothra as always and Sharmila Joshi on the fundamentals. A very good morning to you, Sharmila, as well as Kunal. Thank you so much for joining us on Buy Now, Sell Now. And today, let me start with you, Sharmila. And what are your top picks coming in for our viewers this Diwali? And this time we've tried to make it a bit different, give you three different categories, and in fact put the experts on the spot this time.
Yeah. Should I just start with my recommendation?
Start with the recommendation, as well as why are they in that particular category as per you?
First I'm going with TVS Motors, which is my sort of sparkler stock, because I think that we have a scenario where in fact all the three two-wheelers are doing very well and delivering good numbers. But I think within that pack, TVS Motors has proved that it is really sparkling in that sense, and it has a lot of things going for it. Of course, I think the monthly sales numbers indicate strong growth. The tie-up that they have for the high value product, that is another thing that's going for them, as well as their investment into EV two-wheelers, etc. So they seem to be approaching their business on all fronts, and their basic business is giving them good numbers, and more important than good numbers, I think good margins as well. So I think that here my targets would be closer to 2,000 rupees, and this is a stock that long-term investors can look to add.
All right, that's your safe sparkler then. And what about your high risk rockets then? Which one have you picked up in the high risk rocket basket, Sharmila?
So I don't know exactly if it's high risk, but Nykaa is the stock I'm talking of. So now we have a scenario where numbers are beginning to look good. They went through that rough patch in between when, after a very good listing, you saw the kind of drawdowns that we had on almost, all these sort of new age stocks, because you had investors who had bought the stock earlier, offloading and, numbers not being the best, etc. But this last quarter numbers are good, and more importantly, their basic the beauty business as well as the fashion business, those are beginning to show good traction. And I think Nykaa's focus is on that, and they will continue to grow those verticals. So I think this is a stock that can be bought, and my targets would be closer to 180.
Right, that's Nykaa for you, and that's in the bracket of high risk rockets coming in for Sharmila. And remember, the safe sparkler was TVS Motor. Kunal, let me come to you and let me get your top picks when it comes to safe sparklers as well as when it comes to high risk rockets.
So for the first category, Cheryl, I will go with TCS as one of the safest stocks. Yeah, I understand that the IT index has been into the last 5-6 quarters from 2022 start into a bit of a doldrum, but then now looking at the risk reward, the way many of these mid-cap IT stocks have behaved, I believe that TCS at 200 DMA and at the current levels of 3,350, 90 approximately looks as an attractive bet from a risk reward play, and I would believe that possibly in the next 1 to 2 years you could probably expect these large cap IT names to make a very strong comeback. So I think at current levels I'll pick TCS in that category. In terms of the high risk bet, Kalyan Jewellers is something which has done exceptionally well. Now I call it as high risk because of the way the stock is positioned as with respect to its longer term averages, the medium term moving averages at the current juncture. I believe if there is any kind of an opportunity of a correction or a dip, this stock should be accumulated given the way these recent charts have panned out for Kalyan Jewellers.
All right, so those are the high risk rockets and safe sparkler bets. And Sharmila, coming to you, which stock do you think fits the value bomb category?
I think HDFC Bank. Because I think that first of all the stock hasn't done anything, and in terms of stock price, and we've had a big merger that's taken place between HDFC Bank and HDFC, and the jury is really out there as to whether it will be a negative or a positive. So I'm obviously on the side that says that it will prove to be a positive for HDFC Bank in the long term. So definitely I think that you are in a situation where the stock price is not performing and it's become one of those stocks where like where ITC was, where you had a whole host of memes being made on almost like a daily basis. And unfortunately, HDFC Bank, after the kind of numbers that they've delivered, finds itself in that spot. But I think you have to give this stock time, because the synergy of being one of the world's largest in the list of the 10 largest banks in the world, for that synergy to show in the numbers as well as for it to get reflected in the stock price could take a couple of years. So I think that this would be like a sort of a must-add to your long-term portfolios, and it will deliver, I think, in the long term.
A must-add in the long-term portfolio, that's HDFC Bank, and you should not be perturbed given the fact that it has not performed well. It may be this year's a meme stock, but yes, no. According to Sharmila, the stock will actually rebound, and it's a must-add in your portfolio. And Kunal, which one is that must-add in your portfolio, you believe, when it comes to the value bombs?
So I would look out for Poonawalla FinCorp. I think it's a very interesting chart. Longer term charts are also indicative that the stock has come back towards a major support territory. We've seen that the stock has corrected very sharply in the last 8-9 months from 450 levels to now 350, 60 where the stock is trading. So in terms of risk reward, in terms of positioning as well as in terms of the chart structure, I think it could be a very good value buy at current levels.
All right. Poonawalla FinCorp, that is for Kunal. Just a quick recap on both of the stock recommendations. For Kunal Bothra, the safe sparklers is TCS, high risk rocket is Kalyan Jewellers, and the value bomb is Poonawalla FinCorp, while for Sharmila, the safe sparkler is TVS Motor. When it comes to high risk rocket bet, it is Nykaa, and the value bomb is definitely HDFC Bank. Thank you, experts, for sharing your top pick for our viewers this Diwali. And yes, every day we are going to get you top picks from our experts. But for now, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we'll start taking your query, viewers, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. Remember, viewers, as always, you can connect to us on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. Do remember to mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in. If you're already invested, Mention the buy price, the quantity, as well as the time horizon, and that way our experts will be able to help you better. And talking about experts, today we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi. Once again, good morning to both of you. And let me kickstart with the queries with you, Kunal. Then this one is coming from Balan, and he wants to sell Karnataka Bank that he has in his portfolio. He purchased the stock at the levels of 190 rupees per share, but instead, after selling Karnataka Bank, he wants to look to buy Schneider Electric's, Bajaj Finserv, and Cummins for a period of 6 months. Do you think it makes sense to make this sort of a switch?
Yeah, I think if it's a 6-month kind of a time horizon, then it would make sense to switch Cummins, Bajaj, Finserv, as well as Schneider. I think all these three stocks are closer to their support territories for themselves. Schneider is a slightly higher zone from its previous major support, but I think the chart structure for all three of the names are more or less similar, and they're getting into that groove of ending a reversal or a correction for themselves. So I think that could be a good sign. From a short-term perspective, that's around 6-month kind of a time frame.
All right, this one is coming from Satya, and he wants to know if it's the right time to invest in JSW Infra. Actually, Sharmila, he's already invested in HG Infra as well as PNC Infra, and I'm unsure if you track this one because it's a micro-cap company, and that is Oricon Enterprises. But for JSW Infra, do you think it's the right time to buy in case you track the micro-cap company? So in case you can give their view on that one.
JSW Infra, I think he can look to invest, but the other one, I'm sorry, as you said, I don't really track.
All right. So now is the right time to invest in JSW Infra, you believe?
Yes, I think he can go ahead, and obviously I think the advice is to do a sort of a staggered buying and not buy your entire quantity in one go. But given the fact, where their order book is and where the stock is trading at currently, I think you can look to start entering the stock at these levels.
All right. Kunal, this one is coming for you. This one is from Krishna Kumar from Coimbatore, and he's holding 3,000 shares of IEX at an average buy price of around 160 rupees per share. He wants to know from you, will this one be your safe sparkle value bomb or a high risk reward or high risk rocket? Also, he wants to know what should he do? Should he hold, average, or sell?
See, I think you can continue to hold on in terms of the category. I believe because of the beta nature of the stock price, I'll place this into a possible high risk kind of a basket. But then the stock has already gone through a painful correction, both in terms of time wise as well as price wise. Now we've seen that in the last, I think, 6 months or so, there've been 2-3 occasions where the stock had fallen below 125 mark, but then somehow the stock tends to or the sell-off tends to get arrested at this 125 zone for IEX, which means that more or less that's a strong support territory for the stock in the medium to long term play. I believe that whenever the news flow starts to turn out positive for the stock price, you should see a eventual recovery which could come back into IEX. So it's a stock which is high risk from that kind of a time frame category, but I believe that at current levels as well as close to 125, there is also scope to average out the stock.
All right, the next query is coming in from Tina, and Tina has two queries, one on IRCTC, the other one on Cello World. And given the fact that she's asking for Cello World, so I'll take both the queries to you actually, Sharmila. One is she has IRCTC, the buy price is 718 rupees per share. She wants to know whether she should stay put with the counter or look to exit this counter given the fact that it's below her buy price, as well as she wants to know if it's good to hold on to Cello World. I believe that she's got this particular allotment in IPO, or maybe she's bought the counter yesterday at open. But do you think stay put with Cello for the longer term as well as IRCTC? What's your take?
So IRCTC is a definite hold because I think that we have to remember that this company has three monopolies. One is obviously the ticketing, one is water, one is food. And the way we are seeing travel as well as in general, people, holiday season coming up, the way the consumption theme is, etc. I think IRCTC is poised to give better numbers going forward. Also, I think they had a couple of interesting plans which they sort of put on hold because of this whole pandemic situation. I think luxury trains and things like that, which I think they will soon start exploring once again. They have in fact started exploring once again. So you could see some sort of revenue streams building from that as well. So for me, IRCTC is a definite hold. Coming to Cello, again, I think you can continue to hold it for a bit because I think among the IPOs, it had a fairly good subscription and the products are good, so on. So I always feel the first 2-3 months when a stock gets listed are really, they sort of decide how the stock will sort of trade in the longer term. But for the bit, I think stay invested.
That's the take coming in on both the counters. But moving on and taking the next query then, and Kunal, coming to you. This one is from Katir from Bangalore, and he wants an advice on Alembic Limited. He's holding 1,000 shares from a price of 78 rupees a piece. Wants a long-term view on this one and wants to know, can this be a multi-bagger for him?
Well, the stock has potential to start outperforming or get into that zone of outperformance. Now, in the last 2 years, I think if I'm not wrong, 2021 high, the stock was almost at 140, corrected back towards 60. So a retracement of 50% is already done. But then when you look at this in the context of the prior 4-5 years for the stock price, it started to get in the move from 20 odd rupees for itself. So from 20 to 140 and then from 140 to 60, which means major part of the rally as well as retracement is behind the stock price, and it should now start to get into a built-up formation to get into a breakout. So it could be a good buy at current levels of 80. Your immediate target could be kept closer to 140, but I think if your time horizon is long term, then I believe that the stock can stand to outperform.
Alright, this one's come from Satyajit Singh. He's writing to us for the first time. And Kunal, this one is for you. 95 shares of Shoppers Stop at a average price of 700 rupees per share. His holding period is for 6 months. He's saying, what is the scope of appreciation in this particular stock?
I don't see any major appreciation over here. In fact, the stock has been a drag in the last I think 3 or 4 months. From August highs of 880, 900, the stock has fallen to almost 630, 640 levels. It's now on the verge of testing its major support of 600. I think this was the support the stock had bounced or retested from in the month of March, April 2023, which means that the stock should be able to retest this major support point. The concern is that whether the stock would hold on to this support or not, because in this leg, the volumes have not been very high for shopper stock, which means that major part of the selling is not behind us, and that could probably be one of the major reasons why I believe that the stock could drag. I think you should look to maybe exit on rallies or wait out for that retest of the support closer to 600.
Okay, Sharmila, the next query is from Balaji from Chennai. He wants a view on V-Guard. He's holding the shares from a price of 308 rupees. Wants to know the medium-term outlook on this one and any targets on the same if you have.
Yes. So, it's a decent stock. And again, I think Q2 numbers have been fairly good. And overall, this is a theme that I like. So, I would say that you can continue to hold this stock. Coming to targets, perhaps 340 is the kind of target that you could look at.
This next one is actually coming in from Vidya, and this one is also for you, Sharmila, because she has 27 shares of Hypes Mines at an average price of 1,065 rupees per share. She's saying that she's seeing a loss. She's seeing loss in this particular holding, so she wants to know if it's good to switch or invest in either Karur Vysya Bank or Ircon International or Reddington, for the matter of fact, or do you have any other advice altogether?
So I think just stay invested in Happiest Mind. I think I definitely prefer this as a name to the other names that you have mentioned. Perhaps the near term could be a little rocky for Happiest Minds, but I think that because Q2 earnings were a tad disappointing. But having said that, I think that the management quality as well as the business that they are in make me fairly confident about this stock. So I would recommend you to continue to hold the stock.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on Happiest Minds. But Kunal, what's your take on Ashok Leyland, Gopi Nad from Hyderabad, holding 200 shares from a price of 180 rupees? Should he continue to hold this particular counter? Can this counter has the potential? Can this counter go to rupees 200 mark? What will be your outlook?
See, I think historically I've seen Ashok Leyland to be a very disappointing kind of a chart because it tends to get into major time-wise correction, tests patience for a longer period of time, and whenever the rally starts off, it's an average of a 30% kind of a rally for the stock price. Now, if you compare this with any kind of a slight high beta stock and a high price stock from the auto pack, then the stock has been a gross underperformer. I would suggest that it could be a time where you can make that switch from Ashok Leyland to many of the other formidable auto names. I think something like Hero MotoCorp looks attractive. at current juncture. You also have Bajaj Auto, which is shaping up quite well in terms of a breakout, potentially towards its new highs. Tata Motors, I think at 640-50 levels, where the stock is trading, also looks attractive. So it makes sense to make that switch. You can either diversify it into one of the three names which I mentioned, or into all of these three stocks equally.
All right, Kunal, another one coming for you. This one is from Amit Sood. He wants to know about RailTel. He's already bought about 500 shares at a price of 117.5 rupees per share. He's saying he bought the stock a year ago. Now he wants to know, makes sense to sell and book profits in this counter and look to invest in some other counter? What sort of strategy should he adopt when it comes to RailTel?
I think you should continue to hold on now that you've entered at a very attractive price for RailTel. The stock has gone through a time correction in the last, I think, 2-3 months from September highs or August highs of 250 approximately to a low of around 200-210 mark for RailTel, and now the stock is coming back to that 250 plus breakout, which means it's gone through that time-wise correction. I think it's a good opportunity where you can look to hold on and keep this level of 200 approximately as a strong psychological mark in case if you're looking to average or add further.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on RailTel. But with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a very short break in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And today onto the show, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi with us to guide you better. Moving on to the next query then that I have is coming for you, Kunal. This one is on Rajesh Exports. Kanan from Chennai wants your suggestion on this particular counter. Can he go ahead and buy this name? What will be your advice? The stock is very near to its 52-week low, I believe.
Well, yeah, very close to its 52-week low. The only good part about the chart is that the volumes in the last 1 month has been very high for Rajesh Export, and from the time when the stock had actually formed that bottom around this 420 odd mark, the stock has not seen a retest of the previous lows. So I would suggest to wait out for maybe another couple of weeks for the stock price. In case if it doesn't retest that level of 420, say in the next 1.5 odd week, which means that the stock is now put in a formidable base or a support in place. And on the upside, if the stock breaks past about 460 mark, which is the last week swing high for Rajesh Expo, then I think that could be a strong confirmation of a breakout. So just wait out for another 1 to 2 weeks and keep these two levels in mind, 420 and 460 mark.
All right, this one is coming in from Patrick. He's writing to us from Mumbai. He's writing to us actually for the first time. He wants to know about Affle India, 1,000 shares at a price of 1,230 rupees per share and 1,000 shares of Avanti Feeds that he's purchased at 488 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the medium to long-term prospects for both of these counters, Sharmila, Affle India and then Avanti Feeds. Do you think they are good bets to stay put for the long term or at least for the medium term?
Yes, I think so, because coming to Avanti Feeds, this quarter numbers were a little flattish, but overall I think if you see the business that they are in and my outlook on that going ahead, this whole, I think a couple of years back they had run into some headwind during the budget because there was something sort of which went against aquaculture as an industry, but I think now things are back on track. So at current levels, I think you should stay invested in Avanti Feeds. Coming to Affle, I think the other one was Affle, right? Affle India, is that right?
Yes, that's the stock, Sharmila. That's the other stock that he's invested in.
So this is actually a stock that I quite like. We had a period when valuations on this were very rich, but I think at this current PE, it makes sense to just stay invested in this. My longer term targets on this would be closer to 1,200.
Okay, Kunal, the next query that I have is on two banking names. Philips from Kolkata wants to know take on Bank of Baroda. He's holding 400 shares from a price of 174 rupees and 200 shares of Karnataka Bank from a price of 154 rupees. Is this a good time to book out profits or there is still some potential for more upside in these names? What will be your advice?
See, if you're looking to time it, then I think it could be a good time to book out profits in both of these stocks and look to wait out for a phase of correction. I sense that maybe a correction of another 5 to 10 odd % broadly, I think could probably be witnessed into both of these stocks. They're getting into the zone of retesting their previous swing support. So there could be a chance of another correction before these stocks bottom out. So I think in that regards, it could be a good time to book out profits and look to buy back lower.
All right, this one is coming from Imran Alam from Kolkata Canal, and this is specifically for you because he's saying 20 days ago he had asked you about Adani Power, and that time the price for Adani Power was around 340, and you said hold it for 2 more weeks, and if it goes above the price of 350, then you should keep holding. So now it's around 400 odd. So should he still keep holding on to Adani Power? What sort of a strategy should he adopt now?
Yeah, I think you should definitely look to hold on further for Adani Power. In fact, what has happened is many of these high beta power stocks have actually started to look very attractive. Now, of course, many of these high beta names includes the like of JP Power, R Power, etc. But then, this seems to be more of a synchronized price action across many of these power names. So I would be of the belief that I would stay with my, previous advice that about 350 levels is a very strong positive territory for Adani Power, and you should continue to hold on with maybe 350 as a support or as a stop loss in play.
Okay, Sharmila, the next query is from Parvinder Singh from Noida, and he wants to know your take on Dream Folks. He's holding 80 shares from a price of 522 rupees. What's the outlook going ahead? Should he continue to hold this particular name, and any triggers for the growth that you foresee for this one?
Given their numbers as well as the overall outlook for the sector, I think yes, he can continue to hold the stock. I think even from a valuation perspective, it looks fairly okay. So my recommendation at this price would be a hold.
Kunal, this one is coming from Muni Rajulu, and he wants to know about 3 PSU banking counters for an entry price for a period of 5 years. One is PNB, the other one is Union Bank, and the next one is Central Bank. Of these 3, do you think all 3 make sense to stay put with for the longer term? Now is the right entry?
Yeah, I think all 3 of them are good entry points at current levels. I think these stocks have retraced. PNB, I think, is retraced from 82 levels, if I'm not wrong, to 74, 75, where it's trading. I think it hit a low of 67 or 68 approximately. Central Bank also retraced by more than 20% from 55 levels to, I think, 40, 44 range where the stock is trading. And same is the case with Union Bank in terms of percentage retracement. So I think it's a good time to accumulate all 3 of the stocks.
Okay, Kunal, the next query is from Anuradha, and she wants a short-term advice on 2 names. Firstly is Tejas Network holding 5,000 shares from a price of 885 rupees, and she also has 1,000 shares of Adani Green Energy from a price of 1,040 rupees. Having moderate losses in both of these names, continue to hold on.
See, Adani Green is now coming into a mild breakout zone. So it's a very high beta name. And in case if the stock gets into a major breakout, then we could probably expect a major uptrend for Adani Green. So the only good part about the chart from the Adani stable is that the stock is not trading at its 52-week close, but it's trading at a midpoint of the major correction which it had seen. So I think closer to 1,000, 1,010 is a mild breakout zone for Adani Green. So I would suggest to stay invested over here.
Okay, Kunal, another one coming your way actually because a viewer has specified that he wants your view. This one is coming from Lakshmanan, I beg your pardon, he is a senior citizen and he's of the age of 73 plus, Kunal, and he has been invested in HDFC Bank, Reliance, Asian Paints as well as L&T. All of these 4 counters for a period of, for a longer term period actually. What he's saying is that except L&T, he's not made profit in any of these counters. Now what should he do with them? What should his strategy be in these counters? He's saying for the last 1 year, none of them have been gaining. Correct.
Yeah, I think in the last 1 year, we've seen many of the large cap stocks struggle, and I think the 3 names which you've mentioned specifically have struggled. But then that's the quality of these larger cap stocks, that they would probably disappoint in a short-term time frame. Short-term I mean 1 year in this regards, because larger cap stocks would probably perform exceptionally well with a time frame of at least 3 to 5 years. But I would be of the belief that many of these large cap stocks are actually coming back into a strong support territory. So I'm not sure of a buy price, but in case if you are sitting in profits, then you should definitely look to hold on. In case if you're sitting in mild losses, then I think at current levels of 1450, 60 for HDFC Bank and 2300 odd levels for Reliance Industries odd could be a good price to average further.
Okay, Sharmila, the next query that I have is on MSTC Limited. Narayan from Vizag wants to know, is this a good stock to enter at current levels? He's a long-term investor. Should he look at this particular name to add in his portfolio for long-term?
I didn't get the name.
MSTC
I
Limited.
didn't get the. I'm sorry.
MSTC Limited.
MSTC.
Yeah.
So he has the stock at what level?
Looking for a fresh purchase to stay invested for the long term.
Well, I wouldn't really advise a fresh purchase at this price. Probably, if the stock were to correct down to 410 levels, he could look to buy the stock.
All right. This next query is coming in from a viewer, Soumya, and she wants to know about Varun Beverages Kunal. She's purchased at a level of 810 rupees per share. Should she continue to stay put with this or look to sell at current levels? Varun Beverages came out with his numbers today. Brokerages have come out with their view on the counter today. The stock is up 4%. Do you think book out profits now?
Tough one. It may look to be a point where the stock is breaking out of its previous major highs. But in case if the stock retraces and say in the second half of the day, if it corrects back towards 950 mark or closes below the 950 level, then we may expect the correction to extend a bit more for Varun Beverages. So my suggestion is that as of now, book 50% profits and then wait out for the second half of the day. In case if the stock doesn't go back below the 950 levels, then you can continue to hold on the remaining partial quantity which you could probably have for Varun Beverages.
Okay, Kunal, one more query for you because Kurin wants specifically your advice on Man Infra. He's holding 1,000 shares from a price of 111 rupees. It's been 2 years that he is holding this particular name. We have seen good moves, but post the earnings, we are seeing the stock drifting lower. What to do now? Should he continue holding this one, or maybe he could add more at current levels? He's a long-term investor.
Not suggest to add more at current levels. In fact, it's the first sign today that the stock has opened with a gap down and from 150 levels yesterday to 140 mark where it's trading right now, which means that this could be a start of a corrective wave for Man Infra. I would suggest not to average at current levels.
All right, so that's the take coming on Man Infra. Flashing on the bottom of your screen is Venky's earnings. Good set of numbers because it's posted profit against loss last year. So that's the stock. 7% uptick. But on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. When we come back, more on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now. Take a look at what the markets are doing. They've actually given up all of those gains. Remember, the markets were actually trading flat, hoping that we would actually break in the positive territory. I'm talking about the benchmark indices. Now at the day's lowest point, take a look at Nifty Bank because yes, it has been underperforming the benchmark indices since the word go. But now 0.7% downtick coming in for Nifty Bank. Let's take a look at broader markets. Have they been impacted as well in line with the benchmarks as well as Nifty Bank? They've also moved in lower, but still holding on to a mild bit of positive territory. That is the broader markets for you. But yes, sharp fall coming into the markets over the last 15 minutes or so. But let's continue taking your stock-related queries then. And this one is coming from Dr. Zeenath Kausar, who's writing to us from Ranchi. And Zeenath has 150 shares of GMDC at a price of 360. And I believe 200 shares of SAMIL at a price not mentioned actually. But Kunal, what sort of target can she expect for both of these counters in the near term?
See, GMDC, I would be a bit skeptical because I believe that the stock is starting off a corrective wave. It opened with a gap down, I think 3 or 4 trading sessions back, and that gap resistance is around 350 mark, which means that the stock could probably be under selling pressure if it doesn't cross over back above the 350 levels immediately. So I would be of the belief that the stock can get into further correction. So it doesn't make sense to average or add further.
Okay, moving on, and Sharmila, then next query is from Ramakrishnan, and he wants to know, can he add high-tech pipes in his portfolio for the long term? What I can see that the stock has shown great moves, especially in the last 1 month, it's up 20%. Do you track this one, and should he go ahead to make a fresh purchase in here?
Well, not overall. I think the space is a good space to be in because all sorts of pipes, whether they are metal pipes or whether they are PVC pipes, we've seen in the recent times they've been doing well. But when it comes to high-tech pipes, I think that while their quarter numbers were fairly decent, I think the valuations are a little on a tad bit on the higher side for my comfort. So if you had the stock, you could continue to hold, but I wouldn't recommend adding fresh.
All right, this next one is coming in from actually a viewer Rajesh. He's writing to us from Punjab, and this one is for you actually, Sharmila. He wants to know whether he can add rate gain. He's already having this one in his portfolio. 707 shares at a price of 335, average price of 335. He's been averaging this counter since the IPO. So his view is for the longer term. So he wants to know what sort of strategy should he use when it comes to rate gain. Add some more right now as well.
Well, definitely, I think continue to hold what you have, because what we have seen from the last quarter numbers is that they seem, the order booking and the outlook, they seem to sort of point to stronger earnings going ahead. So I'm definitely comfortable with holding the stock. When it comes to adding fresh, I think perhaps not at this price, not at these valuations. So probably wait a bit to, if it corrects, if you see market going into that sort of correction zone that we saw it get into, then perhaps you could look to average the stock. But for now, I think definitely continue to hold what you have.
Okay, but with this, viewers, let's kickstart taking all your stock-related queries in the rapid-fire session. And the first question is for you, Kunal. This one is on SBI. Arun Kumar wants to know, can he hold this name for a long term? He's holding the shares from a price of 540 rupees.
Yeah, continue to hold on.
Okay, RK Jalan has a couple of stocks that is in his portfolio. India Cements at a price of 236, as well as Yes Bank of 16.55 rupees per share. Sharmila, what's your take on both? What should he do with both of these counters?
He can continue to hold it.
Sharmila, Devappa wants to know, can he enter campus for a minimum of 3 years time from now?
Yes, this is the stock that I like.
Okay, Shiva wants a medium and a short-term target, an outlook coming in for IndusInd Bank. Kunal, 50 shares at a price of 1,440 rupees per share.
Not sure for a short term, but I think I would look out for targets in the range of 1600, 1650 for IndusInd Bank.
Now, what's your take on Varun Beverages? SI Babu holding 15 shares from a price of 841 rupees. Can he add more at current market price?
Keep a stop loss of 950 as of now and hold on.
Alright, Venkajara wants to know which is a better share that he can look to invest for the longer term. Does it make sense that he looks to buy Polyplex Corporation right now, Sharmila, for the longer term?
Which is the other?
Actually, he's not mentioned the other share. He's only mentioned Polyplex actually.
Yeah, I think you can buy Polyplex Corporation. Try and buy it on books.
Okay, Kunal, what's your advice on Gujarat Gas? Anand is holding 1500 shares from a price of 450 rupees. What to do? Any hopes on recovery?
I think maybe closer to 430 odd mark is where you should look to exit the stock.
Alright, this one is coming from Sri from Cochin. 130 shares of JK Paper at a price of around 389 rupees per share. Kunal, he wants to know whether it makes sense to average right now. If yes, at what levels? Also, near-term target for JK Paper.
Would not suggest an average. In fact, in case if the stock comes closer to your cost price, good time to exit.
Alright, but with this, viewers, we are completely out of time in this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now, as well as the rapid fire session. Thank you so much, Kunal and Sharmila, for joining us today and helping all our viewers with their stock-related queries. But for now, it's a goodbye from me and Cheryl and the entire team who put this show together. But don't go anywhere. Markets at noon will take the action ahead.